masks are on and we are socially distanced, and we welcome you to this week's edition of Falcon Focus. In our second segment, we talk women's volleyball with the lone senior on the active roster, that being Christina Stinson. But first, we talk men's lacrosse with their head coach, Michael Fahey. My name's Matt Menzel. Coach, I have to start by just asking, how have you managed to somehow find a way to stay sane over these last 6 or 7 months?
Well, it's been an interesting past 6 or 7 months, and I think just a lot of checking in with the team, checking in with my assistants, and it's been nice to be able to be on campus working, being around the team, and being here safe at the same time. So it's there's been a lot of ups and downs, but it's been going well so far.
Of course, in the springtime, your sport, one of these sports affected by COVID-19. You got 6 matches in before news came out that the duration of the season was canceled. Where were you? When did you find out that the season was done?
Well, it happened really quick. Every day for that, like last week when games were getting shut down kind of all over the country, something new came up every day. But we had played MSOE, or we were going to play MSOE, and we kind of thought at that point that this might be our last game of the season. And then, kind of the next day we got in, we were like ready to watch film for, the next teams that we were playing. And it seemed like every hour things were starting to shut down even more and more. And then the NCAA canceled the spring season. So we kind of just had a meeting with our team that afternoon and kind of just explained everything that was going on. And, at that point, that was pretty much it. So we kind of saw the writing on the wall at that point.
How emotional, how difficult was that meeting?
Oh yeah, it was very emotional. I'm a pretty emotional guy, but we especially for our seniors, I think it was pretty tough. Kind of just explain to them that pretty much your season's over, and we didn't really know what was to come, and but it was definitely emotional, and a lot of words were shared in that meeting.
You look back at that 2019 championship season, a ton of talent lost to graduation going into 2020. Again, only 6 matches on in, but was it fair to say going into 2020 was, I don't want to call it a rebuilding year, but maybe a transitional year from what you had in 2019, or is that not a fair characteristic?
I wouldn't necessarily say it was a rebuilding year. It was just going to be different. We knew what we had with Garrett back there and some of our offensive guys, and guys that had started in certain spots on the field. But we're always confident in the guys that we have and the recruits that we bring in and the guys that are kind of, I guess, waiting for their spot. And I thought we were on track to have another really good season last year before COVID came around.
We'll talk more about that 2019 championship season too, but right now you're in fall season and you typically have a fall season, but this now being with COVID-19, has it looked different? Has it been somewhat normal?
It's been pretty similar to a normal fall season. We're actually done. We just finished this past weekend with our blue-white scrimmage, which was pretty awesome. We had like 2 weeks of non-contact stuff, which was pretty unique. We really kind of got to teach the game and kind of work with each position more individually, where we had everybody split up, and then we had like 2 or 3 weeks of contact practices, which were really exciting, very, very intense. I think the guys aren't taking any days for granted, and just really excited and happy to be on the field. So it's been, pretty normal, I guess you could say. They've been doing their lifting and conditioning stuff too, but we definitely made it work this fall.
You mentioned Saturday the blue-white scrimmage for men's lacrosse. Were you pleased with what you saw? What were your takeaways essentially from that scrimmage?
Yeah, we were definitely, definitely pleased with what we saw, and we have We're a little bit older on the offensive group, have some younger guys in the defensive group, but have some really, really good freshmen that, we kind of wanted to see what they could do on the field. And we are definitely excited, looking forward to the spring season coming up.
Anybody in particular maybe stood out on the attack?
You've heard his name before, K.O. Day.
Yep.
Connor Peterson, Ryan Lefevre, a freshman named Adam Werner that had a really good fall for us. And some really good freshmen and upperclassmen that are returning on the offensive end.
Now, technically, going into the spring, you guys will be the defending regular season and tournament champions. There's no champion was crowned in the spring of 2020. Now, granted, it'll be a new conference. We'll talk about that in a little bit, too. But going from the Midwest Lacrosse Conference now to a number of schools all under the NAC umbrella in lacrosse. And you look, okay, you go back to 2019, a record-setting campaign. When you think back to what was all accomplished in 2019, what stands out to you? What memories do you have of that particular spring?
Obviously, winning the conference championship was huge. That was the number one thing. It was really cool and I don't know, I guess unique to go undefeated in the regular season. I thought that was pretty awesome. I feel like I don't know if it's rare, but it's doesn't happen a ton, in different sports. So that was fun. And I think also just having that big senior class. They've been there 3 years before that, in the conference finals. So, and we lost those. But, finally getting over the hump and getting that conference championship, that was really exciting for the guys. And just to see them be that happy and topped it off with a trip to the NCAA tournament. That was awesome, too.
You mentioned the conference tournament championship appearances all against Aurora. And, again, finally getting over the hump. How intense was that Midwest Lacrosse Conference Tournament Championship that was on May 4th 2019? Again, overcoming a slow start, but eventually derailing Aurora and their dynasty and finding a way to pull out a 9-7 outcome.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. But we were prepared, and we played them earlier in the season and beat them. And I personally don't think we played that great in the championship game, but we knew what they were all about. And they're a great, talented team, great coach down at Aurora. But it was definitely intense. And as soon as the final horn sounded, we were really excited. So
I know teams like MSOE and Benedictine are right there as far as the competitiveness, but it's always been Concordia and Aurora as far as when you look at a true rivalry as far as what's at stake. And it seems like every time you guys face one another, a regular season championship perhaps on the line, if not the tournament championship. How much fun is it? You see Aurora on the calendar, and I guess from a coaching standpoint, it doesn't take much to get the guys amped up for a matchup with Aurora.
No, those guys are. Our guys are always pumped for that. They're always really excited anytime Aurora is on the schedule, and especially playing down at Aurora. We last year or in 2019 it was a 7:00 game, so night games make it even more exciting. So our guys are all excited when we have them coming up.
A name you mentioned when referencing that blue-white scrimmage from Saturday is K.O. Day, and you look back at that championship game from 2019, he had 4 goals, he had 1 assist, and that season, that 2019 record-setting season, he led the way with 41 goals. And, again, he is back now for what is his senior season. So I guess when you look at K.O. Day and his time as a Falcon, how have you seen his game maybe grow? What, I guess, do you expect from him now in his final go-around?
He is one of the hardest-working individuals I've ever been around in the game of lacrosse. He is in the weight room every single day. From the time he's been a freshman till now, he's grown athletically, academically. He's a grinder, and he wants nothing more than to win games and win another conference championship. And, I think kind of looking forward to the spring season, I think he should be, probably top 3 offensive player in the conference and one of the better players in the Midwest on the offensive side as well, too. So we're really looking forward to his season coming up, too.
And Day, along with so many others that are still on the active roster, did get an opportunity to go to Denison for that NCAA tournament matchup a couple of years back. You touched on it briefly, but again, how neat was that experience as a whole? What memories do you have? Forget the end result, but just getting the opportunity for the first time in program history to get to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, it was awesome. I think more so for our guys. I was really excited and it was great for me, but for our guys to finally see that they can do it and get there. I think just building for the future, we want to get back to the tournament. We want to see if we can win a game or two. The guys know that they can do it now, and we've set the example, and that's the standard that we want, for years to come, hopefully.
You were the interim head coach in 2014 before being promoted, the interim tag removed, and it seems like every year you've been at the helm, this is a team that's been competing not only for a regular season but a tournament championship. When you look at the success, I guess, what do you credit that success to, and how have you guys been able to maintain that consistency year after year after year?
I credit it to, first and foremost, our guys that are coming to work every single day, coming to practice every day, getting in the weight room, getting their conditioning in, maintaining their academics. Last year we were like a 3.3 cumulative GPA. So first and foremost, I think we've been really successful because of them. And then secondly, I think Concordia has provided us a lot of resources to be able to get on the road and recruit and get recruits on campus. And then my assistant coaches throughout the years have been awesome. They put in a ton of work recruiting and, working with the offense or defense or whatever it might be. So I think those are the top things that have kind of put us in a position where we are now, and hopefully we'll be successful in the years to come as well.
So do you get an opportunity to go to Canada a lot? How's the Canadian connection work? There's a lot of Canadian flavor on the lacrosse roster.
Yes, we have been up there a couple times. Obviously, right now we're not allowed to go.
Sure.
But yeah, we have gone up there in the past and try to get up there at least once or twice
Very
in
nice.
the summer. So.
You look and, mentioned you're the interim head coach at first before the interim tag removed. Let me ask you from a personal standpoint how you feel you've grown from being, that interim coach, year number one, getting that head coaching opportunity to now here you are, now in season number 8. How do you feel you've grown as a head coach?
Well, my first fall as interim head coach, I really was kind of scared. I had no clue what was going on. I was trying to wing it every day, but we were 14-4 that year and had a really good, upperclassmen group there. And, I think just learning from assistants, learning from practices, things to do, things not to do. I think learning from the previous head coach here, Coach Roberts, taught me a lot of really good things to do. And, I think I've just built on those experiences throughout the years and, have found success along the way.
I feel like you've mellowed. Do you feel like that's fair? I mean,
a little bit.
I mean, you get on the referees a little bit, but who doesn't? But I feel like you pick your moments.
Yeah, a little bit. I feel like I was a little bit more active like a couple of years ago, but kind of been calmed down a little bit more, and yeah.
With the track record of success that the Falcons have had, does it make it a little bit easier from a recruiting standpoint? Certainly recruiting is not easy by any means, but does it make it a little bit easier when you have that kind of a track record versus, say, day one when it was still a relatively new program and lacrosse as a whole was still relatively new to this area?
Yeah. I think we've really captured attention from recruits throughout the entire country. We have guys from I think like 15 or 16 different states. When I first was starting as a GA in my first year as head coach, we didn't really have a ton of guys from out west and out east, and we've started to get those kids as the year has gone on. And, they've kind of figured out that we have really, really great academics and, solid athletic opportunities here as well, too.
Let me ask you, you mentioned from a training camp standpoint, everything's done now in the fall, and so now the focus turns on, it's quote-unquote off-season before talking the start of the spring campaign in 2021, February 13th. Hanover will be the opponent. We'll talk about that in a second. But what happens now between now and the 13th of February? Because certainly there isn't any official men's lacrosse activity, but right. How do you keep guys kind of in that hungry men's lacrosse mindset?
Yeah, so academics is the first thing right now. We want to make sure we finish the semester strong, and do well in the classroom. And then obviously lacrosse is still important, so our guys will be able to be doing some things, lifting, conditioning. But we have a really, really good captain group and upperclassmen group to kind of help lead some of the younger guys. So, they're motivating guys and pushing guys along the way to kind of finish the semester strong in the weight room and in the field house with agility stuff. So that's kind of what we're looking forward to the rest of the semester here.
And as mentioned, the 2021 campaign starts February 13th at Hanover. And unless I've missed a press release along the way, Jeff Roberts, the head coach at Hanover, he was the head coach of the Falcons for the first 3 seasons of the program's existence. How neat is that to, face somebody you used to work with, somebody that, again, helped lay on the foundation for this Falcon program?
Yeah, we were supposed to play them last year,
yep,
and
yep.
The games got canceled early on because of weather, and then COVID came around. So hopefully, we're still trying to figure out our schedule. But if we are allowed to play them and where we play them,
sure.
It will be really exciting to play Coach Roberts. I talk to him a couple times a week and stay in close contact with him. So that'll be exciting to play him down the road if we're allowed to this year. So
yeah, last year would have been here. Now that's going to be in Indiana again if everything pans out. And then the home opener as of right now is slated for the 20th of February against North Central. But I want to bring up the fact that, and we mentioned it briefly, you're part of a new conference now under the NAC umbrella, which is neat because now everything here outside of hockey is under that NAC umbrella for athletics. What excites you about, a new conference? Obviously some familiar opponents, but just being now under the NAC brand.
We love it. We're really excited. I think we have a great conference with great teams, great coaches. So it's going to be a very competitive conference. It's going to be a little bit smaller compared to the Midwest Lacrosse Conference, so it'll allow us to play some more competitive teams around the Midwest, like the Carthages and Augustanas, Iwoos, and that'll allow us to go on spring break every year too. So it allows us to, establish our out-of-conference games a little bit more and play some more of the teams that we want to play. So we're really excited, and our conference should be very, very competitive this year with a lot of really good teams in the conference. So
have to wrap it up by asking you about your favorite NFL football team. You're from out east, the Buffalo Bills. They play tonight against the Tennessee Titans, a rare Tuesday football game. And in New York, that's the only thing I'm guessing they're talking about when it comes to football, because the Giants and the Jets are combined 0-10. But how about your Bills? They're 4-0 for the first time since 2008. What do you think about tonight's game?
I love it. I think we're going to win tonight. 23-17. 23-17.
23-17.
Yes. We'll see.
It's going to be that close.
Yes.
What do you do? Okay, it's game day. Do you have plans? I mean, how do you go about figuring out? Okay, it's Buffalo Bills game day. Do you have a?
I'm just gonna go hang out with a buddy. Yeah,
Okay.
just go hang out with a buddy and watch the game. Kind of just low key, just
Food
hang
of
out and
choice?
relax.
Do you go wings?
Probably wings. Yeah. There's some good spots for wings around the Milwaukee area. So yeah, probably just get some wings.
So how about that? A Tuesday night of football, Buffalo, Tennessee, a couple undefeated teams, and 23-17. You heard it here first. Buffalo will go to 5-0. Coach Fahey, thanks a lot for your time, and hopefully we'll do this again soon, and hopefully we'll be talking about men's lacrosse come the 13th of February.
Thanks, Matt.
That's Coach Fahey. When we come back, we'll talk women's volleyball with the lone senior on their roster, that being Christina Stinson. That and more as we continue here on Falcon Focus. Welcome back to Falcon Focus as we turn our attention to women's volleyball and Christina Stinson, the lone senior on the active volleyball roster. But before we get to that, got to make sure we got our hand sanitizer and, we got the blue curtain behind us, special backdrop. Got to make sure everything is disinfected and we are safe and are keeping it safe. Socially distanced, masks are up as we talk women's volleyball. And Christina, you started playing volleyball, from what I read, in 6th grade. Your friends were playing. That was a big reason why you decided to go that route. Did you ever think you'd fall in love with the sport like you have?
No. At the time, I was doing softball. I did basketball for a little bit and everything. And it was at that time of my life where I was like, I want to do everything. And then I think it was some point in 8th grade where I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna stick with this one. So I never thought at 6th grade that this will be what it continues for the rest of my life almost. So.
There was a great story done about you, and you answered some questions you can find, some facts about Christina Stinson from back in the late spring on CWFalcons.com. And in there you talked about, why you love this sport so much. What is it about volleyball that has become your passion?
Mm-hmm. Well, I really like the team aspect of it and just overall togetherness of picking people up while trying your best as well, because you can't win the game just by yourself. It's literally impossible. And so that just really, that resonated with me a lot, and so I think that's why I definitely fell in love with it.
And what's crazy to think, too, is, you went from starting volleyball in 6th grade, and now here you sit, and you've played now, or role play 4 years of college volleyball. Did that ever enter your mind, or when did it enter your mind that, hey, I could potentially go on and play volleyball collegiately?
Mm-hmm. I would say definitely in high school. I was I enjoy the sport. Actually, Lauren Carlini, she went to my high school.
Okay.
And I got to go watch her play at Wisconsin.
Nice.
She was their starting setter, currently USA Olympic player.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw her playing, and I was like, I want to do this. I want to continue my education while doing the sport I love. And that definitely pushed me forward to try a little harder and put this in my mind as a goal for later in my life.
I ask every athlete the same question. I'll ask you the same. So what led you to Concordia? What made Concordia your choice?
Oh, okay, yes. So I originally wanted to go to a big school. I'm not going to lie. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to look at a couple small schools around here. Janelle recruited me at one of my tournaments, and I was kind of surprised. And so then I came here, and I love the teammates. I love the atmosphere. and they really had a good program for what I wanted to go into. So all that together was just kind of a no-brainer for me. I was looking at other schools, and then I came here and I was like, yeah, this will be the spot.
And you're from Aurora, Illinois.
Yes.
And what's kind of neat is obviously the Falcons and Spartans do meet on an annual basis, and it seems like
Yes.
the last couple of years in the tournament championship down there. I guess let's start there with how special it is getting the opportunity to go back to your home. And now you're with the Falcons, but getting the opportunity to go back home and play against Aurora in your hometown.
Yeah, it's always a hoot, I would say, with my family, because I have a very large. My family is huge, so when we come over there, even against Benedictine, but Aurora especially, they're always there, always cheering on our team, no matter the outcome. It's very special, I would say, because our team gets together, try to come to my house afterwards, but I don't know about COVID and everything now, but yeah, it's very good. I like
And
it a lot.
no question, when the Falcons and Spartans meet, it typically means something, whether it be for a regular season championship or a tournament championship. But with that, withstanding, is it one of those matchups that's easy for you to get up for just because it is a school that's in your backyard, so to speak?
I would say yes. It's always gets our team riled up and ready to go because we know it's going to be a good game. We know it's going to be good competition, and it's not going to be easy, to say the least. But I definitely would say it's something that we look forward to every year.
I'm going to test you about your hometown. I guess my question to you about Aurora is, what is your favorite thing about Aurora, Illinois?
Ooh,
Or maybe what's the most interesting thing about Aurora, Illinois?
Okay.
Either or both.
Both? Okay, let me see. Well, my favorite thing I would say is the downtown. We have the Fox River running through
Okay.
it. The River Rock is amazing. They just started renovating a whole bunch of areas down there, so restaurants are super nice, and they're definitely spicing it up a little bit. I like it.
Does it have a historic feel or more of a modern feel?
Definitely historic. I
Okay.
think one of the little charms about it is that there's buildings there that's super old from the beginning, and just like the architecture and the way they're set up it's honestly beautiful. So I like it.
And volleyball aside, your favorite thing about Concordia?
Oh, okay. Definitely, I would say people again. I just like the genuine care for each other students have, I would say, and just the overall atmosphere makes it feel like home. Home away from home, which is cheesy, but like it applies. It applies. So, yeah.
In high school, besides your volleyball success, I'm blown away because I can only dream of something like this, but you graduated with a 4.0 GPA. You obviously have a strong work ethic. Where does that strong work ethic come from?
Oh, my parents. Yes, I would definitely say my parents. I grew up with them just working hard day in and day out, and I just felt like I needed to reciprocate that in a way, I would say. Yeah, that's definitely where it came from.
And when you look, okay, so you've been able to find a way to juggle, not only your academics, but volleyball, social life. What's the key? I mean, to juggling it all and the time management that's involved.
I would definitely say is like time, what you said, time management is key. I have a planner, and I still have one since, I don't know, 6th grade all the way through now, where I just plan out everything, because otherwise you're definitely going to forget something at some point. But that's just the biggest key, I would say, the timing and putting everything together. But
Mention that there's a nice article about you on CWFalcons.com and some of the facts to get to know Christina Stinson a little bit better from this, again, past spring. And in that article, it says something you can't live without is music. And I know music's a big part of the whole warm-up process in volleyball, but I'm curious to know for you, what's your go-to? Do you have a go-to, whether it be type of music, a song? If you're getting yourself in the right frame of mind, where are you going?
I really enjoy Latin music. I'm very into like reggaeton and all of that jazz. That one gets me going, I would say, definitely. You'll catch some here and there when in our warm-up playlist and everything, but that definitely gets me going, I would say.
How about from a volleyball, when you hear the warm-up, do you have a favorite song you hear like on the warm-up mix that they usually put together here inside the John Book Fieldhouse?
Well,
I mean, do
funny
you
story.
have a say in that?
I am the person that puts it
No
together.
kidding.
Yes. So all of those songs are pretty much my hype-up playlist for the most part.
So do any of your teammates have a say in that?
Oh, they do, yes. Yeah, I would say, like, I have recommendation period, and at that point, if they don't get it in, then I just put it together.
Do you have veto power? Like, if you don't like a song, you can just say it's not, regardless of what you think, no.
Yes.
No kidding.
Yeah.
They give you a lot of power.
Oh, they do. It's kind of scary at times, but it's okay.
Speaking of scary, your favorite holiday I read was Halloween.
Yes.
And you go all out with costumes, 4 costumes. Before we talk about this year, because Halloween's just around the corner, Take us back. Some of your favorite costumes that you've had in the past.
Oh man. Okay. I was the Mad Hatter.
No kidding.
I want to say, I think it was 8th grade year. That one was pretty nice. I did pretty well on that one. I was a mermaid, freshman year of college. The makeup, it was kind of a eerie mermaid kind of vibe. Might not do it again, but it's okay.
So you
But
go
yeah.
all out. Like we're not talking like you just buy a costume. Throw it on. I
No.
mean, there's a lot more that goes
Yes,
into it.
yes, most definitely. It's one of my favorite holidays. I love the whole aspect of putting something on and just trying to, I don't know, let's say, dress yourself up in a way that's not necessarily you, but something you would like to try being, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Well, in a roundabout way, you answered my next question. I was going to ask you if you still dress up to this day. And you said at least as a freshman you were a mermaid.
oh, yes.
So Halloween's a couple of weeks away. You have your costume figured out already?
Oh, yes, I already do. So, do you know the movie Princess and the Frog?
I mean, I personally don't, but
Oh,
I'm
yes.
sure like Sam Dunn
It-
probably
Oh,
does.
yeah, definitely. It's a pretty big Disney movie. I'm planning on being Dr. Facilier from in
Okay.
there. I already ordered my hat. I'm doing makeup, my eye contacts, everything. But I'm not going to a party. I would say it's COVID.
Just walking around school.
I actually at my job they let us
Okay.
dress up, so that's what's going on.
How early do you plan your Halloween costume?
Ooh,
Like you already planning, like once this is over, is it already time to start planning for next year, or do you let some time pass before you start thinking about it?
I would give it some time. I have a couple in my repertoire that I want to definitely
No
put out
kidding.
there. But I had this plan since mid-September, so it's a big deal for me.
I could tell. And you're used now, around this time, you're used to having the volleyball season. So, not only are you trying to plan out a Halloween costume,
Yeah.
but you're in the middle of a volleyball season as well. And obviously, things are a little bit different right now here in the COVID-19 era. Has it been a stranger fall not having a regular, I mean, yeah, you've been having training camp and practices, but no regular match actions? That been a little bit strange?
I would definitely say yes. It kind of messed with the mojo I've developed over the past 4 years. But in the end, I'm still playing volleyball, which I'm happy about, and Concordia's able to bless us with the fact that we're able to still do our sport, unlike some places or some people that I know of, which is nice, and I'm very glad for that, I would say.
When
So.
you look at fall practice, training camp, how has it looked different? Has it looked different?
We definitely started off with a lot of, in the beginning, socially distant stuff, so we couldn't do any 6-on-6, which is a big part of training for volleyball and getting that reps in, but we did technique work and everything like that for a little longer than we usually would. But it in the end, it helps, so it's good.
Saturday, finally some competition. It was an inter-squad scrimmage. 6 sets were played. It was a blue-white inter-squad scrimmage, and players were mixed and matched. And 1 minute you might be on the white team, next set you might be on the blue team. I know you flip-flop blue and white, and just based on seeing who would mesh well, what lineups worked well. What did you think about the scrimmage? How did it go for you, and just how much fun was it to be back in any type of action?
Yeah, my biggest thing for the whole day was just having fun and putting it out there and just getting back into it. I enjoyed it a lot. Everybody was having a blast, and honestly, it's probably one of the best days this semester so far, I would say, for myself. But
one of the adjustments, and I want to ask you about your adjustment, is at least right now, again, in the COVID-19 era, is the fact that players all have to wear masks, even those that are currently in match action. Do you notice the mask? Does it take time to get used to, or is it you're so mentally into the match that you forget it's even there?
there's often I forget it's there. I've been working over the summer and wearing it for I don't know how long, to the point where it's just a part of my face now. Occasionally when you're hard to breathe and oh yes, this is the reason. But other than that, it's just another piece of the uniform. So
You're the elder on the roster, as mentioned, the lone senior here this school year for women's volleyball. Is that kind of a weird feeling to be the lone senior? Do you even, realize you're the oldest player, so to speak, on the varsity roster? Is there pressure there being the oldest player on the team?
I would definitely say I'm kind of used to it. My class has been pretty small since almost the beginning. Being the lone senior definitely has its pressures, but I've grown with my team to a point where it doesn't feel as suffocating anymore, I would say. So it's not as bad as I thought it would be when I first came and started off this season, but it's good.
I'm still blown away they give you the power to make the playlist.
Oh, yes.
Have you had that power since day one?
Well, Haley Cito had it before I did, and then she handed the torch off, and now I have it.
I can't get over the fact that you have veto power too. So if I came with you with a song, you can say no, and and that goes.
Yes.
What types of songs do you veto?
Oh,
Backstreet Boys? I mean, that kind of stuff, like boy bands?
Definitely those. I would say occasionally Jonas Brothers. Sometimes it gets you up, sometimes it doesn't. Depends.
You got to go O-Town. It's all or nothing.
Yeah.
You're listed as a setter and a right side hitter. Do you prefer one over the other? I mean, I know this is a Falcon team that looks like they're going to have a lot of depth at that setter spot.
Yeah. I definitely like being a setter more than a right side, just because it's where I started for playing volleyball, I would say. But I enjoy playing right side. Like, if coach wants me to play right side, then I'll go do it. I like playing volleyball. I will go in that position. But yeah, I would definitely say that.
Last year, you had an average of 0.50 service aces per set, which is 5th all-time in program history for service aces per set in a year. Is there a secret to being successful on the serve?
Half the time, I just toss up and try my best.
Make it look so effortless.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think a big thing is just the toss. Just making sure that is consistent. Then from there, golden.
Well, do you aim? I mean, do you know, like, hey, that one player on that left side is pretty weak at handling, a serve. Let's go that direction. Do you aim a certain direction?
Yeah, definitely. So for volleyball coaches, like, they don't just hold the clipboards. They have hand signals behind there to tell you where to serve for the most part. So that's basically where we're going. Wherever Jeremy says goes for that one.
Well, assuming everything goes according to plan and we're spraying everything down and we're, getting the hand sanitizer, the volleyball season begins on February the 28th against the Alverno College Inferno. It will be the first of 12 regular season matchups, one of 4 here inside the John Book Fieldhouse. So I guess coming into the season, what parts of your game have you worked on? What goals do you have for yourself whenever that 2021 season starts?
I would definitely say I've been working on trying to better myself in order to make sure my hitters look great, they're getting their kills that they want to, and just putting that out there. Yeah, that's my main goal for right now, is just making sure I can be the best person I can for my teammates. So.
And by the way, I apologize. Luckily, there's no smell-o-vision, but there is a strong smell of disinfectant spray and hand sanitizer in the air. But I'll wrap it up by asking you about, okay, you're a senior, plans after college. What do you hope to do? Where do you see your future leading?
Well, so deep question here. I have a couple paths I kind of want to try out and see. I kind of want to do Peace Corps, actually. That's my top one. COVID might be a little hindering on that, but it's all right. I do want to go into like nutrition and marketing and opening my own gym type vibe, I guess. We're still trying to figure it out.
Well, you got time.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll see you on the volleyball court come the 28th of February against Alverno. And again, CWFalcons.com for all the updated information with volleyball and every other sport here in this COVID-19 era. Christina Stinson, thanks a lot for your time and continued success.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah.
We thank her. We thank Michael Fahey for joining us in the first segment. We thank you for joining us as well. For Sam Dunn behind the scenes, Jeremy Crawford, Matt Meadows, so long. Thanks for joining us, and we'll join you again next week as long as it's safe to do so for Falcon Focus on CUWFalcons.com.